Jason Ellis sat by the window of the small apartment in Chicago, sipping coffee as the city woke up. Snow fell softly outside, covering the streets in white. It was a quiet morning, just like any other. But that day, everything changed. A signal had come in from deep space, not loud or aggressive, but calm and clear. It came from a structure near the Perseus arm, far beyond any human reach. The message was simple. We collect stories. If your species has created its own, present them. If not, do not come closer. On Earth, leaders, scientists, and thinkers gathered to decide what to do. Was this a test, a trap, or something no one had ever seen before? After weeks of debate, they chose two people to go. Jason, a literature professor who had spent his life studying human words, and Kate Morrison, a writer whose books had touched millions. She had once said, "Stories are how we survive being human." Now she would have to prove it. They boarded the Astroventure, a small ship with no weapons, only books. Not just digital files, but real copies, poems, novels, diaries, even children's drawings with short stories written in crayon. All of it was stored in secure pods, ready to be shared. As the ship traveled through space, Jason often stared at the stars. "What if they don't understand us?" he asked once. Kate looked up from her notebook. "Then we'll make them understand," she said. "Not with facts or numbers, with feelings." After months of travel, they reached their destination. Before them floated a huge sphere made of crystal, glowing with soft light. It had no doors, no signs, no movement. Yet it felt alive. The moment they got close, a voice filled the ship. It didn't come from a speaker. It was just there, inside their minds. "You are here, but you have not authored. You have copied, recorded, repeated. Have you truly created?" Jason looked at Kate. She didn't flinch. "Yes," she said, speaking aloud. "We have." The voice paused. Then the crystal surface shifted, forming a small docking port. "Prove it, or turn back." The Astroventure moved forward, gently connecting to the ancient library. Inside, silence grew heavier. Something was watching. Something had seen many civilizations come and go. And now it would decide if humanity belonged among the storytellers of the universe. The airlock opened with a soft hiss. Jason and Kate stepped forward, their boots touching a floor that felt warm, not like metal or stone, but something alive. The room stretched wide, made of glass that changed color with every step. Tall figures stood in a circle, thin, with long limbs and faces that shimmered like water in sunlight. These were the Viridians. No one spoke. Instead, a sound filled the air, low and humming, like wind through a cave. It wasn't words, but they understood. "You say you create," the voice came, not in ears, but in the mind. "But creation is not copying. It is not repeating what others have said. It is making something that did not exist before. Can you do that?" Kate nodded. "Yes." "Then do it now." A table rose from the floor, smooth and bright like frozen light. On it, a blank page glowed. A thin stylus appeared beside it. "Write," the voice said. "Something true, something that comes only from you. If it is real, you may enter. If not, you will leave and never return." Jason felt his heart beat fast. He looked at Kate. She didn't seem afraid. She sat down, took the stylus, and closed her eyes. The Viridians watched in silence. Kate began to write. Her hand moved slowly at first, then faster.
The words lit up as they formed, about a girl on a dying world who folded a paper ship and sent it into the sky. She believed it would carry her dreams to another life, another place. The story was short, but full of sadness, hope, and quiet courage. When she finished, she placed her hand on the page. The light swallowed the words. For a long time, nothing happened. Then, one of the Viridians tilted its head and made a soft sound, like a sigh, like music. This was not taken from another. It was born here. It is flawed. It is human. It is real. Jason let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. But the voice spoke again. One story is not enough. One spark does not make a fire. Where are the others? Where are the many voices of your kind? Jason opened the datapad he carried. He showed them poems written by prisoners, letters from soldiers, songs from forgotten towns, novels from writers who died in silence. He showed them stories of love, loss, war, and wonder. The Viridians moved closer, their light flickering as they read. They did not speak, but their hum grew deeper, softer, almost sad. You suffer, one said, and still you write. Yes, Jason said, because it helps us remember who we are.
The Viridians stood in silence, their glowing forms pulsing like slow heartbeats. The air around them hummed with thought. They had read Kate's story. They had seen the books, the poems, the letters from people no one remembered, and still they did not speak. Then one of them stepped forward. Its long fingers moved through the air, and a screen of light appeared. On it, lines of human writing floated, words from different times, different places. A poem from a woman in a war zone, a diary entry from a boy who lost his family, a love letter never sent. These are not commands, the Viridians said in their mind voice, not laws, not records. They are feelings, given shape. Kate nodded. That's what stories are. They don't tell you what to do. They tell you how it felt to be alive. Another Viridian reached out, its hand passing through the light. You do not write to be perfect. You write because you hurt, because you hope, because you do not understand. Yes, Jason said, and that's why they matter. The hum grew louder, not harsh, but deep, like the sound of wind over hills or waves on a quiet shore. The Viridians began to move in slow circles, their lights shifting from blue to gold. Then the floor beneath them changed. The glass turned clear, and below they saw thousands of shelves stretching into darkness. Books floated in mid-air, not human books, but strange forms, crystals that sang, stones with moving lines, scrolls made of light. This is our library, the Viridians said. We have collected knowledge from 83 worlds, facts, science, history, but few of them had what you have. What's that? Kate asked. Creation from pain, the voice said. Stories, not to teach, but to feel. We did not think such things were valuable. We were wrong. Jason looked at Kate. She smiled just a little. So, can we come in? He asked. The Viridians paused. Then, all at once, they bowed their heads. You may enter, not as students, not as guests, but as authors.
Your stories are flawed. They are short. They end in death. But they are real, and that is rare in the universe. A door opened in the far wall, a wide arch of light leading into the heart of the library. "Bring your books," the Viridians said. "Bring your voices. We will learn to listen." Jason and Kate walked through the arch of light, their feet touching a floor that felt like warm stone. The air was still, but full of quiet sounds, soft hums, distant chimes, the faint rustle of pages turning on their own. Around them, the library stretched beyond sight. Shelves floated in the air, moving slowly like clouds, carrying books from 1,000 worlds. Some were made of metal, some of crystal, some of paper so old it looked like dust. Others were not books at all, glowing orbs, spinning discs, stones that whispered when touched. The whole place breathed with a slow, calm rhythm, like a living thing at rest. A path opened in front of them, leading to a large round table. On it, a single shelf rose from the surface. It was empty at first. Then, slowly, books began to appear. The first was a worn copy of a novel by Ray Bradbury, its cover faded, pages bent. Then came a small notebook filled with poems written by a girl during a long winter. Next, a child's drawing of a rocket ship with a short story written in shaky letters. "I went to the stars to find my dad." Each book settled into place as if it had always belonged. "This shelf is for your kind," the Viridian voice said. "Not for all your books, only the ones that were truly made, by hand, by heart." Kate touched the notebook gently. "You're keeping them?" "We are learning," the Viridian said. "Your stories do not try to be perfect. They are sad, they are angry, they are hopeful. They do not know the answers, and that makes them strong." Jason looked around. "Can we bring more?" "Yes," came the reply, "but not just the famous ones. Bring the quiet voices too, the ones no one heard. They matter most." Outside, the red star hung low in the sky, casting a soft glow through the crystal walls. In the distance, a new sound began. Not a hum, not a song, but something like a story being read aloud in a language no human knew. "They're trying," Kate whispered. "Who?" Jason asked. "Them," she said, nodding toward the Viridians. "They're starting to write." Jason smiled. "Maybe that's the real gift. Not us entering the library, but the library finally learning to feel." They stood there for a long time, watching as more human books appeared, each one a voice from a small room, a lonely night, a moment of courage. And for the first time in the library's long life, something new was growing. Not just knowledge, but heart. Back on Earth, the message arrived on a rainy afternoon. It played on every screen, in every language. It was Kate's voice, calm and clear, recorded inside the library. "They let us in," she said. "Not because we have big ships or strong weapons, not because we live long or know all the stars. We were let in because we tell stories, because we write even when we are afraid, even when no one listens." People stopped what they were doing. Kids in schools, workers in cities, farmers in fields, they all listened. Jason spoke next. "The Viridians thought only perfect beings could create. But we showed them that it's the broken ones who write the truest words, the ones who hurt,
who love, who don't understand. After that day, things began to change. Schools started teaching writing not just as a skill, but as something important, like breathing, like kindness. Children were asked, "What story lives in you?" And they were given time to write it. In a small town in Kentucky, an old man wrote about his dog and the war he never talked about. He sent it to the new Earth Archive link, a system now connected to the library in space. Weeks later, he got a small crystal in return. When he touched it, he heard a soft hum and saw images of stars and silence. It was a Viridian story, simple, quiet, and new. On Mars, in a dome where red dust blew outside, a boy named Ganny wrote a poem about missing his mom. He printed it, folded it into a paper ship, and placed it in the mail pod. "Send it to the stars," he said. Back at the library, Jason stood before the human shelf. It was growing every day. Books, letters, songs, even voice messages from people who couldn't write. Each one had been checked, not for grammar or style, but for truth. A young Viridian, one of the first to try writing, came to him with a thin sheet of light. It pulsed. "It is not good. It is messy. I do not know if it means anything." Jason read it. It was about loneliness, about watching stars for so long and never hearing a voice, until now. He smiled. "It's perfect," he said, "because it's yours." And somewhere, in the quiet between worlds, the universe grew a little more human, not by force, but by the soft sound of a story being told for the first time.